Welcome to the night class. This is Coach Knight once again. Today we're going to do a little practice test, go over it, how to do Chapter 9 practice test in Algebra 1. This is basically all the ways to solve quadratics. So here we go. All right, so number one, it's already set up. It says use the zero product property. So if you're going to use the zero product property, then basically that means whatever you multiply by has to equal 0. So either this parentheses has to equal 0 or that parentheses has to equal 0. So to do number one, we're just going to set both parentheses equal to 0. So real quick, add 12 to both sides, divide by 3, x equals 4. And then the other one, 4x minus 7 equals 0. Add 7 to both sides and divide by 4. X equals 7 over 4. That's all there is to those. Number two, same process. You take your factors and set them equal to 0. So negative 2n equals 0. And 9n minus 3 equals 0. So for the first one, we just divide by negative 2. N equals 0. A little more work to do on this one. We're going to add 3 first. Sorry, didn't mean to put the x. 9n equals 3. Divide by 9. And reduce your fraction would be 1/3. So n equals 0 and n equals 1/3. So that's how you do number 1 and 2. 3, 4, 5, and 6 just says what are the solutions of the equation? Excuse me. And let's see here. If we're saying what are the solutions of the equation, and it doesn't tell me how to work it, that means I can work it any way I want to. So number 3 looks like it would be a good choice to factor. So I'm just going to factor it. To do factoring, I need to get it equal to 0 first. So I'm going to subtract that 24 over, and just so you can see what I'm doing, subtracting 24 from both sides, and that will make it equal 0. And then I can factor, okay, because a is 1, so it should be easy to factor. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 24 and add up to 2 would be positive 6 and negative 4. So from here, I use my zero product property that I was just doing, and I set both of these equal to 0. So the first one will be x equals negative 6, and the second one will be x equals 4. Okay. For number 4, I'm not going to graph this or factor this one. I could factor it. I'd have to borrow or group, or I could do the quadratic formula. But I'm just going to graph because that looks like it's nice, big, and ugly. So let me find my graphing calculator. Where'd it go? Here it is. Okay, so we have, clear that one out. We got 8x squared. Oops, I'm going crazy. 8x squared plus 14x minus 15. Let me make sure that was the equation because I have already forgotten. Hey, I was right. All right, so it's equal to 0. Plug it in your calculator, hit graph, and you are looking for the zeros, where it crosses the x-axis. So if I can zoom in there, that's not helping. It looks like it's going to be some kind of fraction. So I'm going to hit second trace, and I'm going to go to 0, number 2, and I move my cursor to the left. I'm going to do the left one first. There it is. Enter. Move it to the right. Enter. And you have to hit enter one more time. I can see that x equals negative 2.5. So one answer is x equals negative 2.5. And then we do the same thing to get the other answer. So come back over here, hit second trace again. Again, I'm using number 2. So I go to the left of this point where it's crossing the x-axis. I hit enter and then go to the right, hit enter. Again, you will have to hit enter again. I don't have to on this one. It tells me it's 0.75. So 0.75. And if you want to write those as fractions, you can, or you can leave them as your simple decimals there. Number 5, I am going to factor because it's set up to factor. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 27 and add up to 6, positive 6. So that would be positive 9 and negative 3. And I set both of those equal to 0, so z will equal negative 9 and z will equal positive 3. Bada boom, bada bing. Easy peasy. Number 6, again, it is not set up to factor, although I could factor, but I would have to borrow and all kind of stuff. So I am just going to graph it like I did the other one. We got 3, negative 16, and 5. So go to y equals 3x squared minus 16x plus 5. Hit graph. Hit second trace. 0. I'm going to go to the left of that point, hit enter, and then go to the right of it, enter. Again, you'll have to hit enter one more time. It's 0.33333. Okay, so it looks like 0.3 repeating. Second trace, oops, not second, yeah, second trace. There it is. 2, go to the other one. Here it comes, there it is. All right, enter, enter, that one is 5. So 0.3 repeating and 5. So z equals 0.3 repeating and z equals 5. Again, if you wanted to change the 0.3 repeating to 1/3, you absolutely could, no problems. Okay. Number 7, let me zoom out a little bit. All right, so number 7 says Tasha is planning an expansion of a square, again, square flower garden in a city park. Each side of the garden, original garden, is increased by 5 meters. The new total area of the garden will be 169 square meters. Find the length of each side of the original garden. So it gives us the new total area is 169. So we're going to have 169 equals the side of the garden. Well, the garden was x, but now they increased it by 5. So it's x plus 5 now squared. And then we work that to get that answer. We're going to take the square root of both sides there. The square root of 169 is plus or minus 13. Will equal x plus 5. I subtract 5 from both sides, and one answer is positive 13 minus 5 is 8, and the other answer is negative 13 minus 5 is negative 18. And again, since we're talking about the length of the side of a garden, I can ignore the negative answer. It's just x equals 8, and that was meters. So number 8 is very similar. That gives you the area of a playground. It's 180 yards. The width of the playground is 3 yards longer than the length. Find the length and width of the playground. So it gives me length and width, which tells me it's a rectangle. So I got my length here, and it says the width. It says the width is, so W equals the length plus 3. And so I do length times width equals 180. So length times width is 180, but my width, I'm going to substitute, the width is L plus 3 equals 180. And I'll work it out. So that will be L squared plus 3L equals 180. I subtract 180 from both sides. I'm going to come over here and continue. L squared plus 3L minus 180 equals 0. I'm going to factor L, what two numbers multiply to be negative 180, and add up to be add up to be 3. So let me see here. See how you figure out some. Just plugging something in my calculator real quick. Alright. Negative 15 works, or no, it'll be positive 15. Positive 15 and negative 18. No, that won't work. What is that? Let's see here. 180 divided by 15. It's 12. Negative 12. That's it. L plus 15 and L minus 12. 15 times negative 12 is 180. Negative 180. 15 minus 12 is 3. So the length is either going to be negative 15 or the length is going to be 12. I know it can't be negative because, again, we're talking about the width of a playground. It's not going to be negative 15. So the length is 12 yards, and the width is going to be the length plus 3. So the width is 12 plus 3, which is 15 yards. So the length is 12, the width is 15. All right. 9 says, what is the factored form of the function? You need to know this. A times x minus p times x minus q. Okay. And p and q are just your intercepts. So let me change colors right here. So p, negative 3, q, negative 1. A, we need to find. We have an x and y down there for our vertex. So that vertex is negative 2, negative 2. I think this is the exact same problem that was on the review, if I don't remember incorrectly. This is q, and this is p, and it doesn't matter if you switch those, you can. This is x and this is y, so you plug all that in and figure out what a is. So y is negative 2 equals a times x is also negative 2 minus p is negative 3 times negative 2 minus negative 1 is q. And I plug all that in. Negative 2 equals a times negative 2 minus a negative 3 is positive 1. Negative 2 minus a negative 1 is negative 1. And so that's going to be negative 1, so we divide by negative 1. A is 2, and then it's just a matter of plugging in your numbers here. You're going to plug in A, you're going to plug in your P, which was negative 3, and you're going to plug in your Q, which was negative 1. Okay, so my final answer is y equals 2 times x plus 3. I'm going to do the opposite of it, times x plus 1. And it doesn't matter if you write the x plus 3 and x plus 1 in the other order. You could have put x plus 1 and then x plus 3. It doesn't matter. Okay? Let's see here. Number 10. 10, it says, I'm going to change to red here. It says to solve the equation using square roots. So, 5x squared minus 397 equals 0. I'm going to add 397 over. Again, this is number 10. Plus 397. Oops, I'm sorry. That's an 8 over there. That's not 0. That's 8. Sorry. So 5x squared equals, let's see here, it'd be 405. Is that right? Yeah. 405 divided by 5. X squared equals 81. Take the square root. X is plus or minus 9. And it can be either one of those because we're not talking about real life here. It's just a math problem. 11, 4x squared minus 36 equals 0, so add 36 to both sides. 4x squared equals 36. Divide by 4. X squared equals 9. Last step, take the square root. X equals plus or minus 3. Boom. Alright. 12, we're doing the same thing, but this time we're leaving our answer in radical form. So, number 12, 4x squared equals 60. We're going to divide by 4. X squared will be 60 over 4. I'm going to take the square root of that. X will equal plus or minus the square root of 60 over 2. Let me see if they left it like that for their answer. Let's see here on their answer. Square root of 60 over 2. What number was that? Huh. I don't see it. Did I mess up? It says it's 15. Huh. What am I doing there? Oh, I'm doing number 12. Maybe I should look at the right answer. 12. Nope, it says plus or minus square root of 15. So I must have done some math wrong here. Oh, I know. That was silly of me. Totally my fault. Right here. I did not reduce. Sorry. X squared equals 60 divided by 4 is 15. And now you take the square root. Silly, silly, silly. My bad. Alright, so x squared equals square root of 15. So x will be plus or minus the square root of 15. I said x squared equals 15. You take the square root of both sides, you get plus or minus the square root of 15. And you can just leave it like that because it says to leave it in radical form. 64x squared equals 36. Divide by 64. X squared will be 36 over 64. I can reduce that. What would that be reduced? 36 divided by 4. Well, hold on. 36 over 64. Math, enter. That's 9/16. So that'd be x squared equals 9/16. Take the square root. X will be plus or minus the square root of 9, which is 3, over the square root of 16, which is 4. So plus or minus 3/4. 14 and 15, we are solving it by completing the square. And I am going to round to the nearest hundredth for my answer. Okay? So 14, they want us to complete the square. It's already set up for us to do. So x squared minus 6x plus blank equals negative 8 plus blank. And what goes in the blank? We take our negative 6, our b, and we divide it by 2. That's negative 3. And then we square that. Negative 3 squared is 9. So it's going to add 9 to both sides. Factor out this. So it would be x minus 3 squared equals 1. Take the square root. X minus 3 equals plus or minus 1. And add 3 over. So x equals 1 plus 3 is 4. And negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Again, going kind of fast here, but it's a practice test, so you can pause the video if you need to. I'm trying to make it as quick and painless as I can. 15, same process. It's already set up for us. We just need to put our blanks here to complete the square. All right, same thing. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. So you don't have to write that if you don't want to. I just like showing you where I'm getting everything. Factor this. It's always what you get when you divide it by 2. So it's x plus 5 squared equals 6 plus 25 is 31. Not 36, 31. And I take the square root of both sides. X plus 5 equals plus or minus the square root of 31 is not a pretty thing, so I'm just going to leave it square root of 31 for now. Subtract 5 from both sides, and I get, let's see here, I'm putting in my calculator, negative 5 plus the square root of 31, negative 5 plus the square root of 31, and negative 5 minus, negative 5 minus the square root of 31. So I get 0.57 is the hundredth, 0.57 and negative 10.57. Those are my two answers. So x equals 0.57 and x equals negative 10.57. All right. Same thing on 16 and 17, still completing the square, but this time we're leaving the answers in radical form. So same process, it's actually a little quicker. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my 2 over here, because this 16 is not set up to do by completing the square. So I'm going to get it to where it is. So it'll be x squared plus 6x plus blank equals negative 2 plus blank. And again, 6 divided by 2 would be 3. 3 squared is 9. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. X plus 3 squared. Again, I'm just putting in what I got in the parentheses when I divided the b by 2. Equals 7. Take the square root. So x plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 7. Subtract 3 from both sides. X equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 7. Ta-da, done. We can leave it like that. That is radical form. 17. Oh goodness, 17 is not, I would not do this one by completing the square if I had a choice, because a is not 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 3 to get a to be 1. B is now 5/3, sorry. And plus blank equals 9 over 3 is 3. 9 over 3 equals 3. This equals 3. Okay, so I take my 5/3 and I divide it by 2. That's 5/6. And I square 5/6. That'll be 25 over 36. So I'm going to add 25 over 36 to both sides. And I factor, so that's going to be x plus 5 over 6 squared. Again, I'm getting that from that number. Equals, let's see here, 3 plus 25 over 36. Math intervenor is 133 over 36. And I take the square root of both sides. X plus 5 over 6 equals plus or minus the square root of 133 over over 6. Square root of 36 is 6. And leave the square root of 133 because that's a big long decimal. And my last step is to subtract 5/6 over. So my final answer for 17 is x equals negative 5 over 6 plus or minus the square root of 133 over 6. If you notice, that answer kind of looks like our quadratic formula answers, and it's supposed to. 18, we have a campground again. Again, just like we did on the review, however, this one's a little different. The dimensions are a little different. We still have 8 square campsites, so remember that. The distance from the edge of the water this time is 5 yards. And the area of the campground, including the beach, is 1,170 square yards. What is the width of each campsite? So this side right here of the campsite, this side would be x plus 5 length, okay? And this side here is going to be, it said there's 8 campsites, so it's 8x total. okay, because there's 8 of those x's. So x plus x plus x, 8 times is 8x. So we're going to multiply our length times our width. 8x times x plus 5 equals 1,170. That'll be 8x squared. I'm distributing plus 40x. And I'm also going to subtract the 1,170 so it can equal to be 0. Okay? Alright. From here, I am just going to graph it because that looks, I'm not sure I can factor it. It's just easier to graph it. So, let me see here. I'm going to put, let's see here, 8x squared plus 40x minus 1,170. So let me put this. Alright, I think I remember that now. Y equals 8x squared plus 40x minus 1,170, or 1,170, excuse me. I hit graph. My graph is a little in, so let me hit second and, excuse me, not second, zoom. Let me just try the standard one first. See if, ooh, I can see it way over here on the end. Let me zoom out a little bit. Zoom 3, enter. Zoom out a little more. Still can't see it. Oh, there they are, both are. Now remember, it's a real life problem. So the one on the left I'm not going to worry about. I'm only going to worry about the one on the right. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Second trace, I want the 0, which is number 2. I'm going to move my cursor over. There it is. So right now it's to the right of it. I need it to go to the left. So I'm going to hit left and hit enter. Right, enter, and my 0 is 9.849. So I'm just going to say about 9.8, round to the 10th. So x equals 9.8, and we are talking about yards. So 9.8 yards. Again, it does have a negative answer, but that answer I'm not worried about it because I know it can't be the length of, or the width of one campsite. All right, number 19 and 20, we're finding what would C be to be a perfect square trinomial. So this is just the part where we take our b, which is negative 20, and we're going to divide it by 2, and then square it. Okay, so that's negative 10 squared. C equals 100. All there is to that. Same thing here. It's a little harder for 20. 15 squared, or excuse me, 15 divided by 2 squared. That would be, let's see here, C is going to be 15 squared, if I'm not mistaken, is 225, is that right? 225, so 225 over 4. Boom, done. 21 says rewrite the equation in vertex form, name the vertex and y-intercept. So again, vertex form looks like this: y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Probably need to memorize that for the test. And we know a is 1 for both 21 and 22. We just need to find h and k. So there's 2 ways we can do that. The quick and easy way, I believe, is to do to graph it. So I'm just going to do 21 by graphing it, and then I'll do 22 the little longer way, which is by completing the square. So 21, I'm going to graph it. I'll do it in my calculator. Let's see here. It's x minus 12 and 30. So go to y equals x squared minus 12x plus 30. I doubt myself so much. Yep, that's right. Okay. So I hit graph. I'm looking for the vertex down here, so I'm going to hit, that is a minimum, second trace, and I go to minimum, which is number 3. Enter, and I go to the left of the minimum. That's good enough. Enter. And then I go to the right of the minimum and hit enter. And then I have to hit enter again if I'm using my actual real calculator. So the vertex there is 6, -6. So my vertex is 6, -6. And now I have everything I need to plug in. So I'm going to have y equals 1, so I'm not going to write anything, okay, times x minus h is 6, here's h, here's k, squared, and then 6, k, -6 is k. It also wants the vertex, so the vertex equals 6, -6, and it also wants the y-intercept, so the y-intercept is always, x is always 0, and it's whatever the c is, so 0, 30. Okay. 22, I'll do the longer way, y plus blank equals x squared minus, I'm doing the wrong one because I need to put plus, okay, x squared plus 10x plus blank, and I'm going to put plus 17 over there. Okay, and I am completing the square, so 10 is what I'm going to be dividing by 2, so I'll come over here and do it. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and then 5 squared equals 25. So I'm going to add 25 there and here, and that will be y plus 25 equals, I'm going to factor this part, that'll be x plus 5 squared plus 17, and then move my 25 over because I want y equals. So we'll have y equals x plus 5 squared minus 8, and my vertex will be -5, -8, and my y-intercept is equal to 0 and what was it, 17. I said a little more work to that one. I would just use my calculator and get the vertex from the math method. Okay, it's a lot quicker. 23 and 24, we are doing the quadratic formula, and we're rounding to the nearest hundredth. So again, quadratic formula, you don't have to memorize it, but it is on your formula sheet. However, I would memorize it for the ACT or future math classes, okay? It's very, 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 very good to know, all right? In order to use the quadratic formula on 23, I need that to equal 0, so I'm going to add 6x to both sides. I'll put it in the middle there. X squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0, and now I can get A, B, and C, okay? A is 1, B is 6, A is 1, B is 6, and C is 9. So I'm plugging in. Here we go. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Okay, so and I'm plugging in for the letters here. So B is 6, goes there and there. A is 1, goes there and there, and C is 9. And I plug those in, I get -6 plus or minus the square root of something over 2. That something is, let's see here, 36 minus 36 is 0. And if your discriminant is 0, that means you're just going to have one real answer, which is -6 over 2. So -3 is my answer. Okay. Remember, the discriminant is the number you get under the radical, okay? And if it's 0, you're only going to have one answer. If it's negative, you'll have no real answer. And if it's positive, you'll have 2 real answers, okay? 24, same process. I'm also going to move that 7x over by adding it. So I'll rewrite it, x squared plus 7x plus 4 equals 0. X equals negative parentheses plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. All right, let's plug in what we know. B is 7, a is 1, and c is 4. So that will be negative 7 plus or minus the square root of something over 2. Let's see what that something is. That would be 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4, which is 33. So I put these in my calculator one at a time. Okay, so negative 7 plus the square root of 33, negative 7 plus the square root of 33. I don't know, is that a time? Oops, I did. I put multiply in there. All right, and I need to put these in parentheses, sorry. But before you divide by that 2, okay? It was divided by 2. Yes, it is divided by 2. So, divided by 2, I hit enter. And then I do the exact same thing, but I do minus the square root of 33 this time. So minus, enter. So I get negative 0.63 if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth. So negative 0.63 and negative 6.37. X equals negative 0.63 and 6.37. There's your two answers, rounded to the nearest hundredth. 26 and 27, I'm still doing the quadratic formula, but this time I'm leaving it in radical form. So the 25 is set up already for me to go, so I'm just going to plug it in. Negative b plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. All right, so b is 5 in this problem, a is 3, and c is negative 2. Again, if you don't know where I'm getting those, there's a, there's b, there is c. Okay, plug that in. I get negative 5 plus or minus the square root of something all over 2 times 3 is 6. Let's figure out what that discriminant is. So what is 5 squared minus 4 times 3? Oops, I didn't put 4. Times 3 times negative 2. 49. Now, normally I would leave it like this, but the square root of 49 is a number. It's 7, so negative 5 plus or minus 7 over 6. So my two answers will be, let's see here, negative 5 plus 7 is 2 divided by 6, which would be 1/3. Negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12 divided by 6, which would equal negative 2. So those are my two answers, negative 2 and 1/3. 26, I need to add that 6 over first. And now I can do the problem. So 26 is going to be negative 3x squared plus x minus, or excuse me, plus 6 now, equals 0. And I go to plugging in, chugging into my quadratic formula. So negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. So b in this problem is 1, a is 3, negative 3, excuse me, and c is 6. So that will be negative 1 plus or minus square root of something over negative 6. This time the something is, let's see here, 1 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times 6. 73, and since it said to leave it in radical form, and 73 you can't take the square root of, that is my answer. All right, the last two solve the systems of equations. So again, you can put these in the calculator and see where they intersect. That is perfectly fine. I am going to do it elimination way, just because I think it's just as quick. It's probably not as quick, but I like doing it. So again, I like leaving the x squared positive, so I'm going to change the other equation, and I'm going to add them up. That'll be 0 equals x squared plus x, 2x minus x is plus x, and minus 6. So there is my equation that I'm trying to figure out. X squared plus x minus 6. I'm going to factor. That would be x plus 3 and x minus 2. Then I'm going to use my zero product rule. So x will be negative 3 and x will equal 2. Don't forget on these last two, after you get your x, you got to plug it back in to get your y. So y originally was x plus 2. So that's going to be negative 3 plus 2. So y will be negative 1. So that point is negative 3, negative 1. And then here, y equals 2 plus 2. That's 4. So this point will be 2, 4. So there's your two answers. 28. Go ahead and do the same thing. This time I'm going to make the top one negative, positive, positive, negative. And again, I just do that so I'll get this x squared to be a positive x squared. I want positive x squared. Makes life easier. 0 equals x squared, 5x minus x is positive 4x. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. So 0 equals x squared plus 4x minus 5. I'm going to factor. That's an easy one. X minus 1 and x plus 5. Use my zero product rule. That means x will equal 1 and x will equal negative 5 after you set them both equal to 0. Plug them in. Again, y was negative x minus 3. So y will be negative 1 minus 3, it's negative 4. So 1, negative 4. And then y equals negative 5 minus 3. That's going to be positive 5 minus 3, so y is 2. So negative 5, 2. All right, that takes care of the practice test. Hope this quick video, hopefully not really quick video, but hope the video helps you learn from your mistakes if you made any. Again, here is the answers. I'll scroll back so you can see them all at once. Check your answers, make sure I didn't miss any. If I did, let me know. And hope you have a great night or a great evening. And we'll see you next time. And as always, stay above the line.